what do they have to do with the environment?
Well, just a couple of things. I mean, I wanted to build the biggest power plant in the country in the Torrent Valley in Hilburn, where we have our athletic center now. And we were very fortunate in being able to get that plant from not being located where it was. That's a very, very, very important area because 40% of Rockland's water supply comes from that area. Where the Saint Center is now, where the field is up there, I don't know if you've ever been up there. That's where 40% of your water supply in Rockland County is. We were very concerned about, actually there were 2 power plants proposed, and we were able to defeat them both with a lot of help from the community. One of the other things we've tried to do, when you talk about urbanization and overdevelopment, is we've been very aggressive in buying open space. Over the last 2 years, we bought, last 3 years, we bought about 25 parcels. We spent $24 million in open space. And we believe in it very strongly. And open space is not just trees. We have green space. We have historic homes that we preserve. We just bought 2 or 3 artist homes that are nationally recognized. Just to name a few.
Okay.
Well, a couple other things. We have geothermal energy. We just finished the building using geothermal and solar energy. And we also have electric cars that we use in certain large departments.
What's the policy? Do we have a policy? An urbanization policy, like how much we have to build and how much we can't build?
Tough, because Ramapo is divided into the unincorporated area, which the town controls, which is about 30% of the area, and 70% of the area in Ramapo is controlled by the villages. And the villages, like Sloatsburg, Hilburn, so we have 12 villages. Each one of those villages controls their own land area. So the town has relatively little influence over that 70% of the land.
What do you feel about adult student housing and its impact on the environment?
There's 2 ways to look at things. Well, the adult student housing has to do with, I guess there's a couple of projects being contemplated. One in Pomona, I think there was one in Airmont. We have no jurisdiction over those particular. But they're like colleges that have dormitories.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We basically, there's 2 ways you can look at it in terms of preservation of the environment. You can try to cluster things together, or you can build like they do in Montebello and some of these other communities, McMansions. Now, which is the better way to do it? Cluster housing together, or allow big houses on small lots? It's tough. The adult student housing is related to specifically religious use, and that's in the courts. That's being challenged. There's a big college that's being, I guess they want to go into Pomona and want to have about 5,000 students. That's probably not a good area for that, but that's in the courts. We have no jurisdiction over that.
Do you think that Rockland County is moving in the right direction or the wrong direction?
I think that Rockland County is not doing enough to preserve open space. We're not aggressive enough. And there are places, and I've contacted places, and I've studied places. There are places like Cape Cod, Massachusetts, out on the island. Every time you sell your house, the buyer will pay a certain percentage, and then they'll use that money to buy open space. I don't think that we've been aggressive enough. In the town of Ramapo, we've tried to be, but we've met resistance from villages and also the county. And if you don't preserve the open space you have now, these properties are bought and sold overnight. So we think long-term, open space is a great investment. It preserves the environment, and in the long term, it's very beneficial to the community. However, I will say this also: 50% of the town of Ramapo is parkland. So we've got a good percentage of parkland. But I'll tell you, as far as I'm concerned, there's not enough green space. There's always, you should always be preserving more, because
like Kakiak and stuff.
Right.
How could taxpayers and how can we help with the problem of urbanization for the town of Ramapo?
Well, I mean, you go to town meetings, you communicate with the elected officials. We have groups that are very aggressive, pro-conservation groups that talk to us all the time, and you keep up on proposals that are being proposed. But again, Ramapo is very unique because we have like an unincorporated area, about 30% of the land, Muncie area, places around Pomona. That's controlled by the town. But if you live in the village of Suffern, the village of Suffern controls the building in the village of Suffern. In Montebello, likewise. So all these 12, we're split into like 13 different governmental entities, which makes communal planning and open space conservation very difficult. Because a lot of times, many times we've run into situations with the villages that they don't feel they want to tax their taxpayers, and they don't want to buy the open space.
What do you feel is more important, the economy or
Balance.
balance?
Yeah, like for instance, we got involved in keeping Avon in Suffolk. We were very, very aggressive. You know, we felt very strongly that you need jobs in the area. On the other hand, up in the Torrance Valley, when I met with the president of the electric company, he told me that he would give us $300 million if we didn't go against the power plant. And he said you could have free electricity. And we didn't, and there would be at least 100 to 200 jobs, but we didn't feel that placing that particular thing in that area, we thought it would be very detrimental to the environment, so we were against it. So sometimes, you know, you work a balance, but in the case of the power plant, we didn't think, environmentally, we thought that the cost would far outweigh the benefits.